On the morning of September 11, 2001, 92 million Americans woke up to a Tuesday that began like any other. School buses were running, offices were filling up, coffee was brewing. By 10:28 a.m., the world had changed forever. Today, we're going to walk through one of the most examined and consequential events in modern history. Not just what happened, but the hidden details, the overlooked facts, and the questions that historians still discuss to this day. This is the story of September 11th. To understand September 11th, we need to rewind just a little. The World Trade Center's twin towers were not just buildings. When the North Tower was completed in 1972 and the South Tower in 1973, they were the tallest structures on Earth. Each tower had 110 floors, more than 200 elevators, and on a busy workday, housed roughly 50,000 workers and visitors combined. Here's a detail most people don't know: the towers were actually designed with the possibility of a plane strike in mind. Engineers in the 1960s accounted for the impact of a Boeing 707, the largest jet of that era, moving slowly and off course in fog. But the planes used on September 11th were Boeing 757s and 767s, flying at full speed and fully loaded with fuel. That was a scenario the original plans never anticipated. Meanwhile, the Pentagon, located just outside Washington, D.C. in Arlington, Virginia, had just completed a major renovation on its western side. That section had reinforced walls, blast-resistant windows, and an upgraded sprinkler system. Those upgrades almost certainly saved additional lives when the building was struck. Now, the organization behind the attacks was Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden. By 2001, Al-Qaeda had been building toward a large-scale operation for years. The September 11th plot, internally called the Plains Operation, had been in planning since the mid-1990s and cost an estimated $400,000 to $500,000 to execute. For comparison, the US government would later spend over $3 trillion on the military response in the following years. The morning of September 11, 2001 began at airports across the northeastern United States. Commercial flights were selected for the operation, all transcontinental routes, chosen specifically because they would carry large amounts of jet fuel. American Airlines Flight 11, Boston to Los Angeles. United Airlines Flight 175, Boston to Los Angeles. American Airlines Flight 77, Washington Dulles to Los Angeles. United Airlines Flight 93, Newark to San Francisco. At 7:59 a.m. Eastern Time, American Flight 11 was the first to depart Boston's Logan Airport. It carried 92 people, 81 passengers, 11 crew members, and 5 individuals, with the intent to take control of the aircraft. At 8:14 a.m., United Flight 175 departed, also from Boston. At 8:20 a.m., American Flight 77 left Dulles Airport near Washington. And at 8:42 a.m., United Flight 93 departed Newark, delayed by 41 minutes due to air traffic. That delay, as we'll see, would have enormous consequences. By 8:19 a.m., American Flight 11's crew had already notified ground control that the aircraft had been taken over. The FAA knew something was wrong, but it would be another 28 minutes before the full gravity of the situation became undeniable. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center between floors 93 and 99, traveling at approximately 465 miles per hour. For 17 minutes, it was still possible for the world to believe this might be a terrible accident. Then, at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower between floors 77 and 85. At that moment, broadcast live on television to millions of viewers around the world, all doubt was erased. Now here's something that surprises many people. Despite the severity of the impact, both towers stood for a significant amount of time after being struck. The South Tower, which was hit lower and at a more angled trajectory, collapsed first, at 9:59 a.m., after burning for 56 minutes. The North Tower fell at 10:28 a.m., standing for 1 hour and 42 minutes after impact. Why did the towers fall the way they did? The fires, fueled by tens of thousands of pounds of jet fuel, burned hot enough to weaken the steel support structures, not melt them entirely, but weaken them to the point of failure. Once the upper floors began to descend, the kinetic force was too great for the floors below to bear. Structural engineers call this a progressive collapse. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 struck the western face of the Pentagon, killing all 64 people aboard the aircraft and 125 people inside the building. The Pentagon is one of the largest office buildings on Earth, nearly 6.5 million square feet, and houses the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense. Despite the scale of the attack, the recently renovated Western Wedge held up better than it might have otherwise. The structural reinforcements, the steel-reinforced concrete, and the fire suppression systems already in place all contributed to limiting the scope of the collapse. Now, for a moment that truly altered the course of the day. Let's talk about United Airlines Flight 93. Remember that 41-minute departure delay? By the time the hijackers took control of Flight 93, passengers and crew were already receiving phone calls from loved ones on the ground, people telling them what had happened to the other 3 planes. They knew. They understood the situation with complete clarity. Passengers including Todd Beamer, Mark Bingham, Tom Burnett, and Jeremy Glick organized a response. They decided to act. At approximately 9:57 a.m., the passenger revolt began. Cockpit voice recordings captured the sounds of the struggle. The hijackers began rolling the aircraft side to side and pitching the nose up and down to destabilize anyone trying to breach the door. At 10:03 a.m., Flight 93 struck a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, at approximately 563 miles per hour. The 9/11 Commission later concluded that the intended target was almost certainly the United States Capitol building. The courage shown on that flight is widely regarded as one of the most documented and confirmed acts of collective bravery in the face of an impossible situation. Let's take a moment to understand the scale of what happened. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives on September 11, 2001. They came from more than 90 different countries. They ranged in age from 2 years old to 85 years old. They were financial analysts, firefighters, janitors, pilots, cooks, engineers, and visitors from around the world. 343 firefighters from the New York City Fire Department gave their lives that day. 23 officers from the New York City Police Department. 37 officers from the Port Authority Police. These numbers represent the single greatest loss of first responders in American history. Here is a lesser-known fact. The health consequences of September 11th have continued for decades. The dust cloud that engulfed lower Manhattan after the collapses contained pulverized concrete, asbestos, heavy metals, and other hazardous materials. Tens of thousands of first responders and survivors have developed serious illnesses linked to that exposure. As of the early 2020s, the number of people who have become ill or passed away due to September 11th related health conditions has surpassed the number of those who lost their lives on the day itself. Congress established the September 11th Victim Compensation Fund specifically to address the ongoing medical needs of survivors and first responders. The response to September 11th reshaped the world in ways both visible and invisible. Within weeks, the United States Congress passed the authorization for use of military force, and by October 7, 2001, US and coalition forces had launched military operations in Afghanistan, targeting Al-Qaeda and the Taliban government that had sheltered them. The Department of Homeland Security was created in 2002, the largest restructuring of the US federal government since the post-World War II era. The Transportation Security Administration was established to oversee airport security. The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act was expanded. The Patriot Act was signed into law. Osama bin Laden was located and eliminated by US Special Operations Forces in Abbottabad, Pakistan on May 2, 2011, nearly 10 years after the attacks. The 9/11 Memorial and Museum opened in New York City in 2011 and 2014 respectively, built on the footprints of the original Twin Towers. The 2 reflecting pools, each nearly an acre in size, bear the names of every person who was lost. September 11, 2001 remains one of the most studied, documented, and debated events in modern history. It changed how nations define security, how airports operate, how intelligence agencies share information, and how ordinary people think about vulnerability and courage. But beyond the policy, beyond the history books, it is, at its core, a story about nearly 3,000 people who had no say in what happened to them, and thousands more who ran toward danger to help them. That part of the story is worth remembering above all else. If you found this video informative, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more in-depth history content. Drop a comment below. What aspect of this history do you think deserves more attention? We'll see you in the next one.